Hey, welcome to 23 Degrees Sideways. Here's our engine bay. Let me show you my face here. Hi, I'm working on a boat. You don't really want to look at me, but everyone wants, like, the picture of the person. Here's our boat. Here's our engine. We're actually not working on the engine right this moment. We are working on the batteries. So these batteries are fairly old, but they haven't been used. They haven't been cycled. I went to charge them this morning, and well, I got a charger specifically for this boat. It's not a great charger. You can laugh at me in the comments, but I have the money that I have. Fortunately, I pulled the covers on these and looked at them first, and they were pretty low on water, which you would expect after sitting for a while. And they've sat for a while. So we don't know that they're going to come back. I couldn't tell you for sure. Have no idea. Maybe there's enough acid in there. Maybe there's not. We filled it up with distilled water. That was about 1.5 gallons between the two batteries. So that's pretty low. They've been sitting for a while. And they haven't been charged and discharged and everything. So we don't know. We really don't know. And if we're unlucky and someone had them on a circuit sometime in the last couple of winters, they might not come back. If they do come back, yay, it saves me $400 for the next couple of months while I figure out lithium. This is the charger. So this is it's a basic charger. It's from, Wally World. It's currently doing reconditioning. See, it says battery reconditioning. It does do that, does have the function. This will do lithium batteries. It's not something I would trust to do lithium batteries permanently all the time or anything, but it will do them. So that's why I spent the extra $5 on that one versus the one that didn't say it did lithium. And we'll see. This will also do an engine start, and it'll do an alternator check and all that stuff that might be worth looking at later. I did top off the starter battery, our other battery, with it, and it worked fine. It did everything. It shut off when it was supposed to shut off, so we're good. Let's see, what are we doing with the engine? So far with the engine, all I've done is wipe off, toothbrush some of the rust, and nothing else. Check the oil, and there's not much in there. Like, it's been sitting. It was sitting in the bilge because the bilge was up just like 1/2 inch below the floorboards for a while. So there's water that seeps into stuff, and that's just how it goes. I do not know which parts of the engine are going to work, which are not. Right? I'm currently soaking the spark plugs in PB Blaster. And I've got Marvel Mystery Oil, which once I pull the plugs back out again, make sure everything is clean, I'm just going to dump it on top of the cylinders and just let it sit for a while. I'm going to suction everything I can out of the oil pan, see if I can get to some other part to do more of that, and then I'm going to put Marvel Mystery Oil in there as well. I may put some cheap oil in, or some detergent, or something that soaks up any potential water. I don't know what I'm going to do. I may put in some stuff and then suck that out, and then put the Marvel Mystery Oil in with some oil, and just let it slosh around and do its thing for a little while. The other stuff, I need to check the transmission. The transmission on the Tartan 34, if you know anything about Atomic 4 engines, the transmission is usually the other direction, the actuator lever. So this is a different part for the different boat application. So it just looks a little different, and we'll see how it goes. I'm going to have to get into the transmission box and make sure everything is full of oil and cool. Distributor, carburetor. The carburetor is on the other side. Ignition coil, everything else. The carburetor is right down there, and I'm going to have to pull that and take a look at it, and that's probably the only thing that's actually hard to get to. I'm going to have to remove the water filter, I suspect, to get at that. Everything else is pretty cool. It's a basic engine. This is literally a Model T engine with modern ignition and a modern starter and an alternator instead of a generator. I think that's about all I can say about that. Like, it's pretty much what it is. If you do need to do a rebuild or pull it out, you can take off a couple of heavy components. Alternator, starter, that's the starter solenoid starter. The flywheel down there is really heavy. Maybe unbolt some of the heavier parts of the exhaust to unbolt it from the transmission, and 2 people can just pick it up. It's not a very big or heavy engine. So this is a piece of primo boat technology in the sense that there's nothing to go wrong. Now, of course, I'm looking at a project to do something super small as a day sailor with a Renault 8 horsepower single cylinder diesel, which is probably the only engine I will ever find that is even more simple than this. So we'll see how that goes as the videos go on. That's about it for what's going on here. The batteries are charging. The Perco switch, cutoff switch, does work. That's the bilge pump, which is not fully plumbed in and down yet. You can see I've got the temporary wire connections so I can figure out the wiring to my control switch. It does work. Everything's there. Now I'm going to do the liquid tape, which is a 4-hour dry process. Make sure the connections are really good, and then get it all anchored and down there and down into the bilge, and we can finish cleaning the last of the bilge water out. Then we can put some simple green in and toss another 10 gallons of water in the bilge. Right now we're still on the hard, so it just drains into a bucket, and that is easy. Let's see, sails over there. Everything else is a mess. It's a total mess. This is the cover for the engine, and then everything's back there. I've got to rethread a piece for the hatch cover. I guess I have to go to Ace and spend money on a tap for that for one job, which is kind of annoying, but that's just how it goes when you get a new thing. Everything else is cool. I did want to talk about this table. This is a fold-down table. It folds down and then it folds out, so it's like this super complicated, crazy piece. And the thing is that when you have this settee down and you have the engine cover on, you have an L-shaped dinette. Having a fold-out part that comes over to this side really is, in my opinion, overkill for the type of boat that we're dealing with and the cruising that we're dealing with. 3 people is what we're going to have sitting down there at the most in any given situation. And if I really needed to, I could toss a folding stool down over here. So I think I'm going to remove that completely. I don't like the veneer. I don't know what's under there for wood. I don't know what it's actually made of. We'll see. I might just remove it completely, put a shippy table that I like in its place, and have it just have a single fold down, and that'll be much easier. And it'll probably live folded down 90% of the time. What else do we have? That's it. So the radio turned on, the VHF set turned on and got weather. I didn't do a radio check yet because I haven't checked the antenna connection to make sure that my transmit is not going to blow the transistors. If your antenna is not connected and you try to transmit, you could blow your power transistor. So don't do that thing, right? Double check your connections, make sure everything's good. We do have the house power. That's right here, one little outlet. And that connects up there on the boat. There's no battery charger. There's no battery charger in the boat wired into the boat. So that's something that I will probably do on my own at some point in time, but I'm not sure. Right now, the AC system is completely independent of any boat system. It just has the one outlet, and then it's wired for another outlet in the head. I do not like the wiring for the other outlet in the head. I don't see a point to it. I understand why people would want it, like electric shavers, hair dryers, the whole bit, putting a heater in the V-berth, all of that makes sense. For me, it's an extra piece of wire that I have to deal with in the bilge, and it's Romex, and it's taped, and it's like color-coded, and it's a nightmare. It's a theoretically potential 0.001% fire risk, but it doesn't do anything for me. So I'm just going to get rid of it and redo the outlet in this outlet, the house outlet. First, I'm going to redo the house outlet so that it is out and accessible. It'll probably be here under the companionway ladder, or it might be here where the barrier paint is, somewhere in the galley. And then I will do a super duper waterproof switch for the outside that connects to the outside. Outlet, not switch. But I think that's about it. The water pump. Oh, right, the manual bilge pump. The water pump back there. You can't see it, but I want to talk about it for a moment. That is a Whale. It's actually a Henderson Mark V. So it's before the Whale company bought Henderson. And it's a Mark V water pump. It's a really great pump. They're fantastic pumps, and it was broken. One of the reasons the bilge was full when we finally got here is that right at the tail end of winter, apparently the last bilge pump went out, the last electric one, but then the manual pump broke. And we weren't here. Well, the manual pump didn't break. The keeper nut for the diaphragm got loose and fell off. No one ever checked the inspection plate to make sure that the keeper nut for the diaphragm was tight. And you can tell when it gets loose because the pump doesn't pump right. It like the handle gets all wiggly. So all I'm going to say is that we spent 2 hours getting that entire pump dismounted, disconnected, crawling in the lazarette, crawling in the side locker. Got it all out. I opened the inspection cover and a nylon nut just comes off in my hand, like just falls out of the hole. And I'm just like, well, there we go. I open it up. The rubber's fine. The seal's fine. The O-ring's fine. The diaphragm is fine. The metal backing plates are fine. Everything's fine. Super cool. I am very happy because that's an amazingly simple fix, but very annoying that I had to take the entire thing off for an inspection plate adjustment, which isn't actually very easy because it's down in a lazarette. So whatever. All right, now, why is this cabinet open? Why is this compartment open? The compartment is open because I just recently filled the water on these batteries. And since we're doing a new charge and everything, lead acid batteries will release fumes, and the fumes will, go where they go and everything. And it's not like I'm going to die breathing the air in here. There's wind and everything, but I want to leave it open for the maximum amount of airflow during this couple of hours of reconditioning and charging, at least for the first part. And then I'm going to check the water levels again once I'm over 10 volts someday, and we'll see what happens, right? So that's it. Boat stuff is happening. It's amazing. You can't hear or see anything significant yet, but there you go. The thing to remember, the big lesson of this, check the water in your batteries before you do anything ever when you buy an old boat. Chill. Stay sideways.